Hi, I'm Michelle. This is my so-called handmade life. I have a blog by the same name, and that is my name on Instagram. On Ravelry, I am Mamatronic. There's a Ravelry group for my so-called handmade life, and we have knit-alongs occasionally. Hasn't been super active lately, but there's a thread for your whips and your FOs, and I always have an episode thread there with lots of notes. I didn't do notes the last episode because it was crazy long, but I usually put my notes there or on YouTube. And please comment in the Ravelry thread or on YouTube or on my blog where I embed YouTube episodes, because your comments help shape the conversation. I started this podcast to fill a void where my grandparents were in my life. I spent a lot of time with them regularly, and I want knitting friends, right? So I want this to feel like you're sitting down and chatting and knitting with a friend, but it's a podcast, so I'm the friend that monopolizes the conversation unless you talk back to me. What you talk about shapes what I talk about in the next episode. I usually ask questions too to help kind of jog your thoughts, but you can comment on anything I say, and just be aware I might talk about what you have to say and mention whatever you talk about in the next episode. So lots of comments on the last episode. I really did not expect people to like watching that. I had 4 hours of footage. I worked it down to 2.5, and it was exhausting. And I kept thinking, what am I doing this for? I usually do podcasting for me first, right? It's something I could look back on and enjoy, or to kind of, like I said, get that knitting connection, that friend connection with people online. You know what I mean. It's not the same as in real life friends, but it can be close. As I've made a lot of friends through the podcast and Ravelry and such. So I'm thinking, no one wants to see this, and I'm not even doing this for me anymore. What am I doing? But I plowed on and I posted it, and I'm so glad I did, because so many of you enjoyed it and said that it was just the kind of thing you like to see. You like to hear about what things people liked that they made, what they didn't like, what their favorites were, their most worn. And I like that kind of thing too, but I didn't really expect anyone else to. I feel like I kind of hyper-focus and get nuts about stuff, and the rest of you happen to be as crazy as me. So like this morning I saw I had 10,000 views. That's nuts. And it's awkward. It feels like you know, you're singing in the shower, and the acoustics are really good, right, in the bathroom, and you're off in your own little world and nobody hears you. You wrap up, you've got the turban towel on your head, you come out of the bathroom and you see the whole family has been listening, plus a couple of neighbors that came over while you were singing. I feel a little that way. Like I didn't really expect the internet to hear what I was doing. I feel a little spectacle-like. But that's just because I'm thinking in terms of knitting with a friend, not lots of people watching me all at once, like I'm on stage performing. It's a little awkward, but it's no big deal. It's good, right? It's good to have more people's input, more conversation. So, others of you said you were inspired to do and I usually talk about things, people by name, but you're going to find out why I haven't had time to tend to my YouTube Ravelry or anything this week. But some of you said that you were motivated to make your first sweater. I'm so excited to be part of that, and I hope you will. If your Ravelry name, if you're on Ravelry, if your name is different than your YouTube handle, please join the group, or in the group, maybe on the Whips and FOs thread. Like, post your progress. And if it's a different name than YouTube, let me know who you are. I would really like to see, you know, what you've come up with. Lots of people inspired to try some new things, and I'm excited that a lot of you saw patterns you would like to try. I'm also surprised you didn't already know about them, but like if you haven't been knitting very long, it makes sense that you wouldn't know about some of these, but they were all like the rage 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. So I'm glad to enable your Ravelry queue, right? I did see somebody commented that, it's like the first comment I saw today as I went to look at comments. I really haven't had a chance to look at them. And it was like, I enjoy it more when you keep it light and fun. You lost me there for a while. Things got too heavy. I'm thinking they mean over the year of 2019. And I just need to say, it's December and I'm glad this year's over. This has been a really difficult year for me and my family, and I get what you mean about things being too heavy. A lot of people don't like hearing about difficult things other people are going through. It makes them uncomfortable. And they see YouTube like kind of like the TV, and they want to click to a comedy or something. And I get that. Probably though, since there's more people watching maybe this episode than normal, I need to say that it won't always be like that. This is about my life through knitting. So it's both. I don't go into the gory details. Believe me, I did not share the tragic details of this year with you at all. But I did lose my dad and a friend, and it almost flooded in our house and different things like that. It's been a tough year. So I'm authentic. I don't share everything with you, but when I do talk about it, I'm going to be authentic in the way I do it. That's what it's like when you sit and you knit with a friend, and remember, that's the goal here. So were I to sit and knit with a friend and they had lost someone or something was hard in their life, I don't think I would turn to them and say, well, could we just talk about the knitting? I get that some people might feel that way. Totally. This may not be the one for you, or you might just, when an episode gets that way, click away. But I personally appreciate when people share a bit of their life, an appropriate amount. Hopefully I was appropriate with it. I haven't gone back and rewatched everything, but I felt like I handled it well. Honestly, and with a positive outlook on life. So, heavy as it might have been, I don't regret it. And those of you who have shared parts of your life with me in response, I am so grateful for. Thank you so much for your kind words. And I know a lot of you have had those in the last week toward me on Instagram, and I can't tell you how much it means to me. So, that episode was pretty massive, and I thought, how am I going to follow that? It seems like I should have a sequel that's equally explosive. And so all I've got for you is my tale of woe. What happened in my hometown? There was a explosion in the refinery that's like right behind my house. The property of the refinery butts up against my backyard, but the actual plant that had an explosion is half a mile away. There's just fields between me and it, though, so the force of the blast busted the windows over the head of our bed. Things flew everywhere, glass everywhere. It was crazy. It's so interesting. First of all, let me say, nobody died. So if I joke about it, it's just because no one died. No one was even severely hurt, which is a miracle. That's not how these things normally play out at refineries. It's really interesting, though, to talk to people and hear what their first thought was. Most of us were waking up. A few people were still awake. Most of us were asleep. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. My husband's first thought was that someone was breaking into our house violently, like the Purge, kind of violent. And I heard him saying, no, 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 next to me. I think he was half asleep. I woke up and my eyes could open, but I was still so asleep my body couldn't move. And I thought we had been nuked. And then I thought maybe it was the refinery. Maybe someone hit the refinery to kill a lot of people. And the light from the flames were projected on the wall in front of us, because that was it's a huge fireball a half mile away, and it's red, and I'm seeing debris. So like there's this first shaking blast, and I'm like, what is that? What was that? And he's going, no, no, no. What was that? And then we hear the sound. I don't know what that was. Maybe like a giraffe almost. It seems like something pulled my bed back, and maybe it was just because the house shook so violently, but it busted holes in the wall behind the bed, and all of a sudden, bam! And it was this huge, the whole room turned red, and like my eyes saw nothing, my ears were ringing, and glass was coming in. It was crazy. And he's going, no, 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 no. And I'm like, what happened? What happened? But I still can't move because I'm still half asleep, you know? That all happened so fast. And the first thoughts in my mind are, he's melting. We're melting, you know? And then I thought, but I don't feel it. Maybe it's true what people say, that God gives you the grace to handle your death when it comes. And then I wake up all the way. And we're fine, you know. We get up and look out the window. We see this ball of fire, you know, right behind our house. And we're like, okay, I guess we gotta go. I guess we should go. We're walking around the house and we're seeing, like, stuff flew out of my kitchen cabinets and busted. Plant pots broke, dirt everywhere. I had cleaned the house so expertly the day before for Thanksgiving because I was hosting dinner. That was crazy. So anyway, I wished I hadn't done that. We're trying to find our pets. The cats are so freaked out, but none of the animals were even hurt. And I was ready, right? Because I always have an evac plan in case of a hurricane. I always know how I'm going to transport animals. Anytime we get a new pet, that's my first thought. And we're packing a bag, you know, basic things we need, because people are leaving. Like, some of my neighbors just took off. But one, bless his heart, or two, came and checked on us. That was nice. The rest were like out of Dodge. So we pack up and we leave. Our pastor says we can stay at their house. They're not that far from the plant either, but further than us. The next day, everyone goes home. We're boarding up windows, and sometime in the afternoon, there's another explosion. And that's the one you probably saw on my Instagram. It's the one that went viral. It's the one the Refinery probably doesn't want people to see. It's not even as big as the first one, but it was caught on camera, and it's horrible. And so then we all evacuated. 3 towns evacuated, and it was like everything in a 4-mile radius in a bit of another town. And people said, I heard lots of thoughts on it, like it could be a 10-mile radius, it could be a crater, you know, it could affect people up to 20 miles away or something. I don't know. Sadly, Facebook was the best source of information because the Refinery wasn't given much. And the policemen in my town were frustrated. They were telling us one thing, 3 areas needed to evacuate. The TV was saying, oh no, 2 towns. They were frustrated because they weren't hearing the most up-to-date information. And I don't really trust, honestly, the Refinery owners. A lot has come out about their not maintaining equipment, breaking EPA guidelines, and just paying fines rather than paying to maintenance or upgrade equipment. That's taking risks with all of us, and who knows what I'm breathing right now. But I'm here. My house still stands. There was a good chance. Like, if that fire had moved a few yards, my house would have been blown off the map. Maybe quite a bit more than just a half-mile radius. It could have been horrible. So that's a lot to be thankful for. There's a lot wrong with my house now. The whole thing just got taken and shaken. So it's like off kilter, warped, twisted, askew. I have no idea what it's going to take to fix it. We're having trouble getting someone in to just tell us what's going on with it. I don't just want to leave it up to insurance adjusters, but all that takes time, and everybody's looking for the same thing right now in my town. So that's what was up with me, and that's why I didn't get to read YouTube comments. We were evacuated, and I helped that family with their Thanksgiving meal and cleanup, and then I came right home and cleaned up on my property. and we've been meeting with people and trying to figure things out in our free time. Maybe I could try to make this a little more lightweight. I could work on like a Mel Brooks type jingle for what's been going on. Refinery explosions. The plant is out back. Refinery explosions. Will you evac? But I just couldn't get past that. Like, I can't even get a whole chorus, so I don't know. Maybe funny on demand isn't my thing. You know, like, dance for me, dance for me. I don't think I can do that under that sort of pressure. Hey, okay, so this is a crazy scattered episode. It's terrible, and everybody who watched the last one is going to tune out, right? But I had to do this because I have a giveaway, and I've had it for a while, and so many crazy things have happened, I haven't been able to show it to you guys. So let me go ahead and show it now. Got these little bags. It's like burlap with paint polka dots on it. It's a set of 2, so there's a notions bag and a little mini project bag. That would be like a sock project or a hat or maybe a small scarf. This is by the Wicked Knitta, and this colorway, I wanted to get a fall colorway of yarn, and I wanted to do a finally fall giveaway. And it's like December, right? But it's finally fall here in Southeast Texas. So we've got these little bags, and this is Autumn Mist by the Wicked Knitta. And I thought this was a really beautiful, and I really wanted to keep this. I really wanted to keep this. This is really pretty fall colors. But I didn't. I did it. I got it just for you guys. So let's see. I had some other little doodads. Oh yeah, some little fall themed project keepers I was going to do too. So just some leaves. See? So it's just fall leaves. They do a lot of, they have just a lot of options on their project markers, progress markers, and stitch markers. So all of that is going to go to one of you. And what I want you to do is answer on my, here on my the YouTube comments. And I haven't thought yet of what I want you to answer, what I want you to leave a comment saying. So I'll get to that at the end of the episode. But I just wanted to show you that it's done. Okay. That's why I'm posting this today. Because otherwise I'm completely scattered. A bomb went off behind my house, you guys. Okay. I reached in my knitting basket. And guess what I had? Shards of glass like this in my knitting basket. It was everywhere. Everywhere. I vacuumed my house probably 10 times, and I still see little shiny, look, oh my gosh, on the floor, right in front of me. This is a pretty big piece, but a lot of them are tiny. Like I use like Vicks salve. I'll put it under my nose to breathe at night because I live here. And there was the tiniest little piece of glass on the top, the screw top, and I went to unscrew it and my thumb got cut and blood's gushing, and I'm like, I didn't even see that. How much of that is everywhere? And I wish you could see my my lights here. Look. Do you see the holes? The holes in the lights? Only 2 were showing, but it's full. It's riddled with holes because these are out in my garage, and the windows broke in there and everything just went like projectiles. And I will say this, my husband sleeps on a wedge, like a big wedge that keeps you from being flat, because otherwise he snores so bad that he keeps himself up. And where the window busted behind him, all this glass was stuck in the wedge. And if it wouldn't have struck him and cut him, it definitely would have fallen in his face. Anyway, you just can't expect much from me in this episode. So I have a few things to talk about that I was going to from the episode before. We were talking about cheesy shows we watched and stuff, and I confessed to watching 90210 reboot and then some of the first season of 90210. And I'm like embarrassed, but at the same time I'm compelled, just because I guess it's from my childhood where I watched it, embarrassed and still compelled even then. And a lot of you said, you know, like Casey plus 3 said that you watched the reboot and you started watching the first season too. Katie says that 90210 is a lot like Riverdale, and she watches Riverdale for the same kind of reason, and that we all just kind of need those guilty pleasures. Cotton candy is what she called it, cotton candy viewing. And she also watched the Downton movie, but she rewatched the whole series to get ready for the movie. I don't think I could do that. I don't know if I could do that. Her new thing right now is American Horror Story. That's what she's watching. I've never watched any of those, but I heard that some of them were good. Pammy said that her daughter was so excited about the 90210 reboot that they were on a family trip together. She made everybody be quiet, and they couldn't talk during it. And they all had to watch it with her, which I find really funny. Because I was watching it to irritate my husband, and he fell asleep, and I kept watching. Things like that y'all are... Oh, another thing I watched recently. I watched Isle of Dogs. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's that Wes Anderson animated show. It's like stop-start animation. It's different. All different types of animation combined, which is really artistic. I find that really interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I like those Wes Anderson movies. Most people do, but I hadn't seen that one. So that was good. It kind of made me think it's not the same, but it made me think of Pingu, that little penguin stop-start animation show that was on for kids on the Cartoon Network when my daughter was little, and she loved it. Caroline, in fact, showed me something on Instagram, a show called Clangers, and it's like the knitted, it looks like anteaters, and the characters are like knitted stuffed characters, you know, and it's much like Pingu. I don't know, all of this, just watching Isle of Dogs made me think of those things. The Clangers is an older show, but to me it looked like it could have been more recent. But that might be worth looking up. I think that's from the UK. If you have kids, look up the Clangers. They would probably really like it. And there's not a lot of talk in them. And that's how Pingu was. They made little noises, you know, but there was never any talk. And that was part of the fun of it. So as far as other things you guys recommend, Adina has read The Weight of Ink, and she said it was really good. I queued that, or wishlisted it on Amazon. It's a historical fiction, and it jumps between two eras, and it just, the way it deals with complicated issues really inspired her. She found the characters very three-dimensional, and there was character growth and change, and just, it was all handled very delicately and very, I don't know, just handled very well. So, you convinced me, Adina. I think I want to read it. Indigo Girl. The Indigo Girl. Who read that? I'm sorry, I wrote down who it was, but I can't read my handwriting. One of you recommended The Indigo Girl, and that is something Sarah Jane said she was reading a while back, and she also recommended that, so it must be good. I've been watching, not a lot actually, I haven't been watching news. Refineries, like burning is what I've been watching. It took a week for the fire to go out. It just went out. And we're all messed up. It's not from smoke either. I think it's from asbestos and all this kind of stuff that shouldn't be there. I've been reading the Iliad, and I did get past the introduction, and I did get past the long name of ships and who was on the ships and where they came from. It's really hard to read. It's hard at night to read something like that. So now I'm into the meat of the story, and it's pretty good. I mean, you know, It's a classic. I like this, I can't remember, Latimer, I think, is the one who did this edition, and I really like this, the way it's written out. I watched Won't You Be My Neighbor, that documentary on Mr. Rogers. It was really good. That was a nice thing to watch. It was a calming thing to watch at a time when, you know, things weren't so great this last week. So I did appreciate that. I liked the way they talked, his wife talked about his doubts, that he was even getting the message across. And I just found it crazy, the backlash that he got, I guess in the 2000s, where people were saying because of him, because of this one TV show, a generation of children have grown up thinking they are entitled to whatever they want. That's really silly. Certainly it has nothing to do with the parents, right? Certainly it has nothing to do with the culture. It's just all Mr. Rogers' fault. But I didn't know that. I'd never heard people say that. So I thought it was really sweet. I watched the show when I was little, but I don't remember it a lot. I don't remember much about it. I didn't realize how many difficult things he grappled with in that show, like death and divorce and all that. So anyway, if you haven't, I know Tom Hanks just came out with a movie where he plays him, but I kind of recommend watching the documentary first, just because that's him. A lot of it is him talking about his mission with the show in his own words. And I kind of like seeing something like that before seeing an actor portraying them. I got through some of your comments, not very many, and I'm just going to talk about those. Lori is going to try the Lady Bat. You're not the first person to see the Lady Bat on my podcast and want to knit it. It is an awesome sweater, a great summer sweater. Still very much stylish, and she likes seeing this kind of show. And Vicky likes that I don't take myself too seriously. Yeah, I really don't. Lottie said that The Killing was a Danish show, the original version. I thought maybe Norwegian, and I didn't remember. I thank you, Lottie, for telling me about that. And she said that there is the snowflake sweater. There is a pattern out. I didn't see one back when I knitted mine. I did see one that had, they just had the chart, and you would fit it in your sweater however you wanted. I did see the chart, but I never saw one that had the pattern. But I went on Ravelry recently and I saw them. It's called The Killing Snowflake Sweater by SKD Yarns. And there's also another one from that Danish version called Strawberries and Crime by Tiggs Togs. And it looks just like one of the sweaters Sarah Lund wears. So if you're into looking at sweaters all the time, I suggest you watch The Killing. It's a pretty good show. Lottie or Lotta, I'm not sure how you pronounce your name. Thank you for reminding me about that. And I definitely need to cast on the sock and watch the original, The Killing, because the originals are usually, you know, better. So Jean said that, but she was laughing that most of my sweaters didn't fit that I put on, and they were too short in back and too tight. Totally true. I warned you at the beginning, these don't fit me, but, you know, it's the best way to show them, right? It's also kind of funny that I've kept that many that don't fit. And then Talitha said that it was like a blast from the past, and she misses the days of Knitty and the Stitch and Bitch books. I do too. Like, there wasn't a lot of knitting with other people. It wasn't that organized online, but it felt so revolutionary. Whereas now there's this real consumer feel to it. It feels like everything else. It doesn't feel like you're revolting against consumerism. It's just part of it now. So I miss that too. A lot of you commented on your favorite sweaters that you saw. A beatnik is a favorite, and some of you want to make it, like Katie. wants to make, from Katie and Joe Mack, wants to make the beatnik. And I've never heard of anyone being disappointed with the beatnik. I want to make another beatnik. So that's as far as I got, I believe, in your... Oh, and Linda said that seeing mine and other people's knits make her feel like she's just not really a knitter after all. Do not feel that way, Linda, because of all the fancier sweaters, I really enjoy some of the simplest most. You saw, I'm probably going to wear my husband's Christmas sweater a ton. So don't feel that way at all. But if you do think these things are so intricate, I couldn't do that, maybe it's time for you to try one of those more intricate things. So anyway, I keep thinking I hear my phone buzzing. Am I hearing my phone? Yeah, people are still checking on me to see if I have a home to live in, which is really sweet for people to do. Amazingly, my life is almost like back to normal in the way I'm living it today. It won't be soon enough. And I don't have a Christmas tree up. I mean, why would you put a Christmas tree up if you're going to have workmen possibly in your house and people coming in and, you know, engineers and things, seeing what the level of damage is. So here's what I have. And I'm just going to set comments aside because I didn't get through any of the others to talk about. What I did have time to do, I worked on stockings from Twice as Nice, and I told you I wanted to do 6. I wanted to do one for my husband, myself, my daughter, my son-in-law, and for my sister, because she spends Christmas Day with us. And I want to show you my progress. I am about to finish my 5th one. And all of these are not blocked, okay? And they have a real heel and toe. So they look like they could fit a giant 3-dimensional foot. My first one is my favorite. I love this one. I love the colors. And I use these same colors over and over. And so what you have is knit pick colors plus the main one. It was fully spun yarn called Vintage Christmas. I'm looking for a good example of it. Yeah, look at this one. See this stripe? It was color changing, and it's got a marled effect, and it's more of the blue here, and then it goes to, well, right here it's almost completely pink. Then it goes from pink back into, not blue, to green. And so it's just vintage Christmas colors. Like, makes me think of Christmas ornaments from the 60s. So you've got like teal or aqua and pink. And that's what that whole skein was. I had 2 of them in Iran, and I made them last through 5 of these. So I am now out of it. I do have a tiny bit somewhere, but it's not like even enough to show. No, actually I don't. I literally went to the end of it. Here we go. This is the very end of the ball. So let me show you what I did. My other colors, I've shown this before, but some of you are new, so, and I don't have any other knitting to talk about, so let me just show you. I had various balls of natural colored patterns, Cascade, knit picks. I used some Bear from Knit Picks. I used some Cascade, and then I have this patterns waiting in the wings if I need it for my last stocking. So from Knit Picks, I also used Blossom Heather and Wool of the Andes, Tranquil, Holly Berry, and Aurora Heather. And so these matched almost completely the various colors that were in the fully spun Vintage Christmas skein. So I just changed things up. You'll see the first pattern is called, it's called the Fair Isle, just the Fair Isle stocking. And you can see it's just a 2-color Fair Isle right here. I wanted to change it up and try and use most of my colors in each stocking, but make them vary. So I used Blossom, Holly Berry, Tranquil, and fully spun Vintage Christmas in this, along with a natural. This one was probably Knit Picks Bear. And I followed the directions completely, other than changing the ordering of colors and the number of colors I used. I really love the way the fully spun yarn changes as you use it through the stocking. Really nice. And like I said, these have not been blocked, so the little heel and the toe are not perfectly laying straight. So it was a challenge because the next one I did was meant for a fingering weight. Oop, where is it? A fingering weight yarn. So I just modified the pattern. I modified the number of repeats of each part of the motif I did around it, and just a few other little things. Made it not quite as long so that it matches this one in length. They're very similar. The toe is a little longer, but I don't find that to be a problem. It was one of the main attraction stockings, and this one was called just the fingering patterned main attraction stocking. And so you can see they used just 2 colors again for this one. But they alternated which was the background color and which was the foreground color with each stripe of pattern. I did that too, but it's not as distinct because the fully spun, I alternated fully spun Vintage Christmas with Aurora Heather from Knit Picks. They became so similar at times in color that you can't see the striping effect, the opposite, reversing which is the background color. You can't see that as clearly, but it really does make an interesting stocking. That color changing all the way through in the fully spun just made these stockings. They would not have been as special. I cast on the same amount of stitches that I did for this one, and I just made the pattern not repeat as many times around. I also changed what goes on the toe to make it a little, the foot, to make it the right length. Yes, it was Christmas trees, hearts, snowflakes, then the stars, and I went ahead and put in my heel then so that it would be the same length as the other stocking. Remember, because I'm not doing fingering. And then for this one I did the stars and I just repeated the hearts. I felt like if I didn't repeat the hearts, this would be too short. It actually might have been okay to just do my toe right after this, but I went ahead and made it a little longer. And I really like how it came out. When I put a post on my blog, I will have details, without giving away pattern details, just how I altered this to be similar in size to the worsted stockings. The next one I did was a simple striped one. This was meant to be a bulky pattern, but I was using, it was this one. Basically, I just did the same number. I cast on 96 stitches like I did for this one. And I just figured out about how many stitches I needed here and how many to do in each stripe to get it the same length. I worked the same heel and toe as this one. I didn't follow any other heel directions. I don't even know if I followed these heel directions completely. So, four stripe repeat, the natural blossom heather, Vintage Christmas tranquil heather, tranquil, and I like how that came out. That was a real easy one to do. The next one I did was the triangles. This really needs to be blocked. It was more intense fair isle, right? Because my floats were longer in places. I had to bring in one extra color, so I used some of the black patterns with Tweedy Flex from my Bulky Easy one. I added it. I felt like it would go best. My other option was this green, and I just felt that it clashed. It would have been okay, but I didn't think it looked great next to Tranquil. So that's what I did, and I love, look at how the Vintage Christmas from Fully Spun, look how it goes from pale to almost the tranquil color, and then down here it's green again, and it turns to the pink. Really nice. And I don't think I had to do anything to alter that one. That was meant to look, these were all meant to be similar in size, designed by Knit Picks. So I did, however, I didn't even read the heel and toe directions on any of these except the first one, and I repeated those directions for these. So I'm on my 5th one right now, and I am now on the toe, and I will go back. You see my waste yarn here? It's that off green. I will go back and add the heel in natural because I have plenty of natural. I used the holly berry, fully spun, natural, and that was it. So I used those 3 colors through the whole thing, and I really like the way it looks. It looks like I used more colors because the fully spun yarn is color changing all the way through, but you can see it goes from pink into the light greens, darker greens, dark green and dark pink, and then back into the greens to the pink. Really beautiful, and I had just enough to finish the stocking. Now, I believe I did have to alter. Maybe because of my gauge. I basically just measured, and when the leg was the same length as my other stockings, this was kind of my first one, so it was my gauge. When the leg was the same length as this, I did waste yarn for a heel. Then I continued working it because it's the same pattern over and over. I worked it to the length of the foot, to the toe of this one, and then I just stopped the patterning at the end of that repeat and began my toe. I've just started the toe. So I'm really pleased with these. So that leaves one more. And what I thought of doing was Pearl Soho came out with some marled stockings. I thought of doing a marl that looks similar to the colors of the fully spun. I don't have that anymore. But these 2 colors were prominent in that. And I wondered if these would even look good marled together. You never know how they would look until you knit it up. I thought I would try a little swatch, and I wanted to have it done for you guys, but no. I was busy picking glass out of things. Or I could do, and so I would knit it as if it were bulky. And I would actually probably follow the stitch count of this bulky stocking right here. And knit it as long as it says, and then I will use my same old heel and toe that I used on the others. I will probably follow these directions exactly. But because when I put these 2 worsted yarns together, it will be like a bulky. I thought I would marl, maybe do this green, or one I haven't used as much is the Aurora Heather. You can see my colors here. Let me know what you guys think. So here I don't have a ton of this dark green, so I'm thinking this is what I need to either marl with the light green together or with white, the off-white, and then just do an off-white toe and just have a completely marled leg and foot of a stocking. And that's what I'm probably going to do for the last one, because it will have that feel of the look of the fully spun. So that's what I'm doing, and that's all the Christmas decoration I think I'm going to have this year. I thought I could put a fire, a screensaver up on my TV and hang them on the armoire above the TV because I don't have a mantle. I thought that would be kind of fun, though, to hang them in front of a fire. Or I have another place over a mirror or something I could, or by the table in the dining area. But this is what I would like you guys to tell me for our giveaway. What I would like you to tell me is, what is some kind of easy Christmas decor or tradition that I could do in a very non-traditional Christmas time? Come on, my little buddy. at a time like this, it's very non-traditional, you know, like I probably won't have a tree up. We're going to probably have workmen in and out of our house, inspectors and things. And I don't really have the energy to do all the cleanup with, you know, a lot of flux happening in my life. So what are some easy Christmas decor or traditions that I could do still with things in this weird state that I'm in this Christmas? I had big plans. I went to an after Christmas sale at a really nice store and got some nice, a few new ornaments to put on my tree last year. I was pretty excited about the way my living room would look. I don't have a lot of decorating space. I just really do my living room. I have a couple of wreaths and do the tree and all that, but I don't think I'll be doing that. I was going to do it on Thanksgiving weekend, actually. That was my plan. So it's going to be different. You guys give me some ideas. A non-traditional or an easy decor or Christmas celebration thing I could do while my home is in a state of disorder due to a disaster. Because we are actually considered by the Red Cross, my street is a major disaster zone. So this is my Finally Fall giveaway, and I just want to do it because I'm excited. It's fall. I'm not as excited as I was a week ago, but I'm still pretty excited about fall, right? So just leave a comment here on YouTube telling me some decor or celebration ideas that are good at a time of flux. So some of you who said that you move often, like Christy, you might have some good ideas for celebrating a holiday when you're not having the traditional calm of your home and everything. Let me know, and leave your email address or your Ravelry name for me, okay? So that I can contact you. I'm thankful for all of those comments, and now I'm going to go read those comments and really enjoy them because I haven't had time to slow down and even look at the comments on YouTube. I was pretty blown away when I saw how many I had this morning. All right. I hope all of you are having a pretty relatively calm and peaceful December. All is well here, and I appreciate your concern. Bye! Refinery explosion. About that refinery explosion. Will you eat that? Oh, no room. Too much knitting.